All right, what's up, YouTube? Here to give you a bit of a run through of the UFFL app that I've been working on. Yeah, so I think I'm just going to go through the pages, let you see what it does. Like the whole thing kind of works now. So yeah. Anyway, so this is what the landing page would be if someone random on the internet stumbled across the app. You hit sign in, it signs in with your Google account. So there's no random password resets needed. I don't store your passwords in any database. It is linked with Google via an app called Clerk. So I'll show you the onboarding process later, but like basically you get an email from Clerk and then only our email addresses are authorized to log into the app. So anyone from the league can log in, no random people can log in. Then you just hit sign in with Google, choose your account, and hey, you're in the UFFL app. This is the dashboard. Just for the purposes of this demonstration, just ignore this purple bar at the top. This just lets me impersonate other users so I can show off some of the other functions. Normally you wouldn't see this. So you got the all the different tabs at the top. I'll go through them one by one. You have your account here, which is just basically very minimal. It's essentially just your Google account. This would be like you logging into anything else using your Google account. So, and you can sign out from here. Yeah, we've got some stats on the dashboard. The dashboard's just kind of there to look pretty, but it doesn't actually do anything. So I guess we'll just move on in the tabs. So the first one is my roster. This has a few things going on. First of all is the top banner showing when the next round is. It shows when it locks, so when you no longer can submit players. It's got a timer counting down to when the round starts, and it shows who your opponent is and what their current ladder rank is. The next part is this is the players you have available and your starting lineup and reserves. So I can just reset this. I've already set this for round 2 of the UFFL, but I'll reset and show you how it works. So I can go through, I've got all the positions and the reserve positions. I can just drag people in. So for some reason I have Billy Frampton at the moment, but counts up your score, shows his fullback score. Dunkley can play inside mid. What do we got? Sinclair, outside mid. Fuck knows, Matt Kennedy. Bont, Jez. Obviously, there's some players that are marked in red. You might have noticed, and there's this little button that you can hover over. This is data pulled from the AFL's injury list, so it's alerting me that hey, Brandon Cox is a test for this round. Connor Rosie, don't know when he's coming back. Viney, don't know when he's coming back. So just to be aware. I'll play Brandon Cox because I know he's playing. Ryan Marshall, let's put some reserves in. Fucking Archie Roberts can go there. Shannon Neal can go forward. Flanders, you can play mid. Tanner Bruin, reserve Spud. Alright, I'm going to save my lineup. Giving me my currently overall average for my starting team selection. Obviously, Brandon Cox doesn't score because he hasn't played yet. So now this is locked in for my matchup for round 2. You can't go and set further ahead because that sort of doesn't make sense. We don't really do that in the current app anyway, so it just sets the next round. Obviously, I can then scroll down and I can look at my overall roster, which is all of my players. Obviously, also has the injury details, the club they play for, and their average stats at every position. Then the final section is my match history. So round 1, I versed Rob. I got the W. I got 196 to his 138, so I won by a margin of 58. This will come up in the next section as well, but I can also click onto each individual player and get more detailed stats about that player. So I have their picture and some of their details, the club that the coach that they're owned by. I can look at their individual UFFL and AFL game stats. Obviously not all the AFL game stats. This is just the ones that we track in the UFFL. This could probably be expanded to have all AFL game stats, which might be useful. So see Bont's there. It's got to be a sort of Z-score analysis thing. That's just I put it in there because I could. Giving you an idea about how they compare to the rest of the league. You got a bit of a radar chart showing their raw and z-score analysis, which has a cool little moving graphic I quite like. So obviously he's in the sort of top percent of a half forward. He's a fucking terrible spud. Yeah, but this page exists for every single player. You can also look at past year stats, all the game stats from previous years, AFL, UFFL. This goes back 5 years, which has some value. I don't think you'd be looking at very much outside maybe the draft, trying to get an idea about how people's form goes year to year. Yeah, so that was my roster page. We'll go into the players page, which is basically just the whole league. Same thing. You can select by year. This is obviously this year, so it shows the teams that each player is currently owned by. It has the injury list details for everyone. It has photos for everyone except for rookies. And there, same thing. It's got to have all their stats. You can filter by any of the major stats. So Jez is currently the best full forward, Jack, but he's only played one game, obviously, while Gunston's played 3, etc., etc., etc. You know how stats work. Same thing. You can click on any player, go into their details page. That's pretty much the player section. It's just useful, maybe in in sup drafts and stuff like that. You can easily pass it from here instead of having to cross-reference other sheets or AFL tables or whatever. This is all here. These stats are obviously pulled from AFL tables. Tackles inside 50 are pulled from Footy Wire. And then some of the other photos are pulled from someone else's stats API. Some of their other details, like their age and height and career games, are pulled from other sources. So it's kind of like an amalgamation of different sources. This particular page gets pulled on Tuesday nights because AFL tables typically updates sometime on Tuesday, generally in the afternoon for us. So this gets pulled Tuesday night. So it's not a live stats thing. You won't see this update over the weekend. This is just like a reference, a weekly reference. So it'll update every week. Coaches tab. So this has all of the coaches in the league, including your actual name. The 14 is how many players you have in your roster. No, I'll probably remove that because everyone's going to have 14. I can open all these tabs up and see everyone's roster with all their stats. Same thing, I can click on the player to go to player details. It has everyone's injury information. You can look at your own ones, obviously. So this has everyone's current rosters on in at the moment. You might notice there's a little trade button there. I will show you that a bit later. So next tab is the matchups. So this is the regular UFFL head-to-head recreating M's thing. So next round is in 5 days. It shows all the current matchups. This has all of the upcoming UFFL matchups loaded. It's accurate. I can go back to round 1 and we can see all of the results. I can click into these and see player stats for every position, much like M's. You can look at all the different matchups. This during game day, when there is active games, during a round while it is active, this live updates every 30 seconds during games. So it is as close to real time as is reasonable to do. I've tested this a bunch. It's very accurate. Every 30 seconds it updates, re-updates all the scores for every player, re-updates all the total scores, and after every game, this runs half an hour later and then an hour later as well to capture any stat changes post-game. So it does self-heal itself outside of games as well. Anyway, this is all accurate as of last week. I haven't touched any of this data. It is exactly the same as M's. So that's matchups. Next week. These obviously you can't click on at the moment. Oh, you can click on. Because someone's actually set a team. I've set a team, and I've set a team for Richard, which is why I can click on it and see what they've named. Which is the same as MZAP. You can look at people's lineups. So the next tab is the ladder, which is accurate as of the current ladder. You can see it has markings for the top 8. It has your played, wins, losses, and draws. I'll probably remove played because everyone's going to play the same. Obviously, current points. Points for, points against, and percentage, just like our current ladder that gets posted in Discord. I've double checked all this data. This was all generated by the matchup page and then set at the end of the round, and this is all accurate to Fergs's ladder that he posted. You might see this little live tab here. I can click it, but it won't actually really do much because there's no live UFFL rounds at the moment. But you see it does actually add some columns. And so what this does is when the round starts, live ladder gets enabled by default. So basically 4:30 p.m. on a Thursday, live ladder is enabled by default until the end of the round. What this does is it, in real time, gives provisional points for, points against, and percentage based on your current matchup stats. And it will show who you're versing and what the current matchup is. So during the round, it will live move people around on the ladder. You can click that off during the game, during the round, to see what the actual set ladder is for that round. So it's not obviously scored until the end of the round, but it is kind of cool to see, as games progress, people moving up and down on the ladder provisionally. Obviously, in the early rounds, there's big changes because there's just not many points and like set yet. But I think later on in the rounds, it'd be quite interesting to, on a Sunday, see people, bump each other out of the 8 and stuff like that. So that's kind of cool. Cool. So I'll go to trades now. So to do that, I'm going to go to coaches first. And what I'll do is, I'm currently impersonating myself, so I'm just as the Dennis committee. I am going to initiate a trade with Pity because I want some of his stuff. And who I don't want, I've already been fucking with this a bit, so which is why some of the players are a bit wrong, because like I don't have Billy Frampton, but I don't want Billy Frampton anymore. And boy, do I want Sam Darcy. So I'm going to initiate a trade. Put a nice message in so that he will do the trade. And you know what? I think I can get more. I think I can get more out of. So, Rosie's dead and Pity loves Port. So, and Max Holmes has been absolutely nailing it. You might have seen there, I have 2 selected on my side and 1 selected on Pity. So it won't actually let me do this trade because it has to be an even trade. Cool. All right. I'm going to propose this trade to Pity. And what that does is, has a little trade symbol up here now. Only me and PD will see that there is a active trade right now. And the way that this also works is, I'll just launch Discord. Got to launch this in advance, but you know how it be. Cool. Sweet. Actually, yeah, great. So I'll go to trades. And now I can see that there is a trade that has action required. So at the moment, because I'm like a super admin, I can just approve this. But I'm going to impersonate Pity now, just so see what Pity would see. So Pity would see that I've offered a trade of Frampton and Rosie for Darcy and Holmes. It's proposed. This is the date. He can accept or reject that trade. There's a trade history thing. I'll get to that later. So I'm going to go, yeah, that seems fair. I'm Pity. That seems fair. I want Connor Rosie. So I'm going to accept that trade. And then what happens in Discord, as me, Alex, the whole league in the trades channel, this is a dummy server, will get a notification saying, hey, a trade's been offered. Go cast your vote. So this is a trade. I'm Pity. I can't approve it because it's my trade. Obviously, it's the same here. It's an active trade, but it's because if you're Pity or me, it'll appear in my trades. Like if I, for example, am James, I won't see it in my trades, but I will see it as an active trade. And I go, oh yeah, cool. Oh, well, I'm James. Yeah, that seems fair. I'm going to approve it. Cool. James has voted. He's approved it. 1 of the 7. I'm Nick. I like it. I'm Rob. I think it's shit. Bryce. Ben. I'm going too quick. Lucky. Obviously, I'm just impersonating people. You would get this all on your own page. You can't vote twice. Just going to get this one through. Rich. I approve. Cool. That trade is gone. It's been approved. We go back to Discord. Trade has been approved. We go to the trade history. We can see what the outcome of the trade was. We can see that it was an approved trade. Now, if I go back to my roster, I'm going to go back to impersonating myself. I now have Sam Darcy and Max Holmes. So the trade has gone through. You can see in my actual details, I have these players now. That has all gone through. I guess as an example, I could just sort of set up another trade. Ainsworth for Aaliyah. I don't have to put a note. I can propose this trade. Similarly, you'll get a direct message from the Discord bot whenever someone proposes a trade for you. So it will ping you when you get a message. Cool. I'm gonna go. I traded with Cox. I'm gonna become Cox now for a sec, and I'm gonna go to trades. I'm gonna go, fuck that shit. Reject that, boy. I don't want that. In Cox's history, he can see that he's rejected that trade. But if I'm Ben, Ben never needed to know about that trade. That was a personal trade between Cub and Cox, so that doesn't appear in his history. He's only going to see his trades and trades that have gone up for a vote and either been approved or rejected. So yeah, that's the trade system. Yeah, has Discord integration, so it gets posted. So new trades get posted in the trade channel, and then approved or rejected gets posted in the trade channel. Any proposals are just done via direct instant messaging between the bot and that player. So you won't see when I propose a trade with someone. Yeah, so that's trades. That's most of the main league functions. Then obviously there's an admin panel, which is only available to anyone that's marked as an admin. So this would be you guys. So you can see there's a few tabs here, which has all of the league functionality. So I have all the players loaded. Obviously, I need to enter everyone's emails. Once I've entered everyone's emails, I can just hit this invite link, which will basically send you a link from Clerk, which will basically say, hey, sign into Clerk. And once it's signed into Clerk and you go to any of these other pages in the league, so once you've visited the site, it will link you much like this, showing that this coach has been linked to a Clerk Google account. So only coaches within the league can actually visit the UFFL website. You can see my roster. This is the Clerk linking. Then there's a Discord linking, so I can basically enter someone's user ID, which I can get from Discord by right-clicking and getting their user ID. Once that's linked, then the bot can send them all those trade information and any other direct messaging the bot needs to do. And admins can also go and manually make corrections to people's roster if they need to. So that's also an option that admins have if you need to do that. So obviously only one person is Discord linked at the moment, which is me. I haven't linked anyone else's Discord. So the next part is like the fixturing setup. So we got the UFFL rounds and the fixtures tab. So the fixtures tab basically loads in all the AFL fixtures. And this one shows whether the round has been actually run and scored. So like when it's scored, it's basically saved to the ladder. You'll see that this has the finals as well, which clearly don't have matchups yet. This one can auto-generate the round robin for as many rounds as you set. And it can also, once we get to finals, you basically just hit generate finals, and it would take the top 8 of the ladder and generate the actual finals matchups. In UFFL rounds, this is where we would map AFL rounds to a UFFL round. Obviously, because of the buys, we need to be able to do mapping, so this is all accurate as of our current fixture. You can see the lock time for every match. You can see whether it's been scored or whether it's played. It will show pending when the round is active. If you think the scores look wrong, like if it got scored like 2 hours or an hour after the last game of the round, and then you look at the ladder and you're like, that's wrong, you can basically rescore it, and it goes and repulls all the games, rechecks it, and rescores the round. So that's just kind of like a backup. You can see if I needed to, I could add additional rounds depending on how many UFFL rounds we're playing that year. This season's already locked, so I can't do it right now. Round management is where you can do sub-ins for players. So I can set the sub and then sub in the reserve. When you do that on the matchup page, it'll have a little pill saying that player has been subbed in. This is still a manual process. I think it's probably reasonable to run as a manual process for now. Like this could be automated based on like time on ground and stuff like that, but given it's a manual admin process at the moment, I think it's probably fair to stay that way. Tag management is basically you can make custom tags to assign to players. So I made a retired tag so I could assign that to Stephen May. This could be used for like lots of different stuff. The one that I was planning on automating was because the injured tag is already automated by the scraper that pulls all the actual AFL injury list. So that one's a system tag because it's automated. This one's just been made. You can make whatever tags you want. It's on whatever player you want. But for other system tags, I was actually planning on having it put custom tags on players that have been dropped in SUP drafts. So like in SUP draft 1, let's say a bunch of like Stephen May was dropped. Let's just use him as an example because he's going to be dropped. It would then add a tag to Stephen May saying, hey, dropped in SUP 1. So you actually, when you look at the players list, you'll be able to filter or look at players that have actually been dropped by other players, and sort of it marks them as such. Job schedules is all of the custom scrapers. These run on a service called Railway. These are all .NET scrapers, and so they're using a thing called Hangfire, which is basically a scheduler system, a cron job system. So these are all set to run at certain times. Some of them work in conjunction with others and will fire each other off, but this is all kind of set and forget. Really, like, you have the ability to go and run them yourself, which is why I've added them to this, in case like you're like, oh well, the tackles didn't update this week for some reason, it maybe hit an error, so you could just go and rerun that. But this is all pretty much set and forget. It's been running for like a month now, and it all seems to work fine, so it's just there in case it needs to be run manually. Don't run this. I mean, you can, but like it goes and like deletes all the database tables and then repulls all of the players' stats for the last 5 years. So it takes a few hours because we try to respect scraping rules on the websites as much as possible because we don't want to spam them. So we take our time to run through all of the players and all of the game stats. Two last ones. I might do drafts last, but I'll start with live. So this tab won't have anything right now. When a UFFL round starts, this shows all of the matchups. So all of the actual like AFL matchups. It'll tell you whether the scraper for that game is running, and it'll let you refire the scraper manually if you need to. You never should need to because it runs every 30 seconds. So like the data's going to be pretty up to date. So this only has anything in it during an active round. Cool. So now we can do drafts. I'll run through how this works. So this will do a full preseason draft and all the SUP drafts. So like I've got a demo here that actually I might just delete. No, I can just leave it. It's fine. I'll create a new draft. We'll say this is just a drop one, pick one draft. So I can create that. This randomized within halves thing is that UFFL weird thing where you, for some reason in the first SUP draft, you randomize the top and bottom half of the ladder. So it's not, I don't know what that is. Like it does it if you need it. Otherwise it's normal just a reverse ladder snake order draft in case you do drop two, pick two. So I'm going to generate the order, which is based on the current ladder. Cool. That's the order for the draft. At the moment, this is just an invisible draft because we're just doing the admin side of it, but I'm going to go, cool, I'm going to make this draft visible. So now SUP draft 2, because we've already had SUP draft 1, I've already run that as a demo. SUP draft 2 now appears in the top bar. When that happens, in Discord, in the SUP drafts channel, it lets you know that the new draft is being created, which is a one round draft and it's been scheduled. We can go, okay, cool. Well, it's Sunday night. We're going to start drops. Let's do that. You get a Discord message. Drops required 1 is actually optional, but I can now go into this SUP draft. And it's in the drop phase, and I'm like, okay, well, you know what? I don't like Viney anymore, so I'm going to drop Viney this draft. It's a drop one, pick one. So obviously I'm only dropping one player. You can undo your choice, select someone else. You can abstain if you don't want to drop anyone. If you're pulling a Watto this season, we're in the drop phase, etc. So, but I'm going to drop Viney. And just to make it interesting, I'm going to impersonate some other people, and I'll drop some other randoms just so we have a more interesting draft. That's me. Well done, Greg. Drop. All right, cool. Bunch of players are dropped. If I go back to the admin page and go to drafts, I can see who's dropped players. who hasn't dropped players. It'll if they abstain. I'll do an example of abstain. Let's go to Nick. I will abstain as Nick, saying I don't want to drop any players this draft. I'll see in the drafts page that Nick isn't participating in this draft. Okay, cool. Whatever. It's whenever we're starting picks. Let's start the pick phase. You get a Discord notification in the subdraft channel that picks have started. So let's go to subdraft 2. Just refresh. Pick phase has started, and it's Rob's pick because he is lowest on the ladder. So I'm just going to impersonate Rob so I can actually show this. And look, it's Rob's turn to draft. Now, Rob loves Blake Acres, so he's going to draft Blake. We can see that draft log, Rob picked Blake at pick 1. Last pick was Blake, now picking Greg. So we go Greg. Greg loves Calamachi. And it's got some stats if you want it. Cool. Now it's Watto's pick. Likalia. Now it's Cubs pick. Jake Arts for Cub. And now it's my pick. I'll just go impersonate. Now if I go back to Discord, I've got a message from the bot saying, hey, it's your pick, brother. Pick number 5. Better get on that. I saw that someone dropped Kerno, so I'm going to pick Kerno because it seems like a good pick. Draft complete. Admin. Drafts. So draft 2 is complete. These are the players that were dropped. This is the pick order and who picked the players. I can go back to my roster now. And look, I've got Charlie Kerno. Yeah, that's drafting. I think that is everything. I have a couple of things on my list of stuff that I want to add. This is like, obviously, core functionality all works. One more thing on the Discord, I should say, actually. The ladder gets, when the round is scored, a Discord message to the results page, much like Fergs does, comes out with the results of the matchups and the ladder as it currently stands at the end of that round. So that functionality is recreated. Folks doesn't need to go fuck around with a spreadsheet and do all that. I have lots of stuff that I want to add. The main thing that I'm focusing on now is adding in automatic champions haul. So I will load all the previous champions haul data and then probably, I guess, at the same time or maybe 10 minutes after the ladder gets dropped on a Sunday night, it will update the Champs Hall, which we'll be able to look at in the app. So you can look at all the different categories of Champs Hall, all the usual ones, or have all the biggest wins and worst losses and all that shit. That can all go in. I have to load all the past data for that. But that's what I want to add now. There's, probably a ton of other stuff that I'm thinking about working on. Let me just check my page. Ghost Round I'm working on, but we don't need it anymore for this season because we've already had our Ghost Round, so it's sort of not urgent. That's kind of it. So that's the app. Like, this is ready to go. So, like, I mean, I'm not an admin, so I don't get to make decisions, but like, we could start using this now. We could do SUP 1 in this right now. It has, when I go and fix all the data that it is broke by doing a bunch of trades and doing a bunch of sub drafts, when I go and fix everyone's teams, it has everyone's current teams. It has last week's matchups. It's ready to go for next week's matches. The ladder is accurate. We could literally start using this right now. Have a think. M gave me her blessing to make it. I'm very, adding features and doing fixes is very easy. So, let me know what you think. But I think we should use it. Like, it would take me 10 minutes to onboard everyone in the league. Yeah. Anyway, that's what I think. Peace out.